There it went. Okay. All right, so we're going to start off by squaring both sides. I square this side and I square that side. Oh, thanks. Sorry, people. On the left, the square root goes away. On the right, we have something much more complicated. Sorry. And I need you to know what we're doing there. The difference between the left side and the right side is the left side has a square root, right? So it's almost like it's protecting whatever's underneath there from us squaring it, right? It just disappears, right? This is different than this. We have to square this stuff now. And I'm going to ask you, see if you remember, how do you square a binomial like that? Do you just square each term this way? Please say no. No, you don't do that. How do you square such a thing? All right, so we have to write this out how many times? 2 times. You've heard me say something like that before. We have to write out z plus 1 twice, and then we're going to have to distribute. So if we're distributing, it would look something like this. That's z squared, 1z, another 1z, and then 1 times 1 is 1. I can combine like terms on that side so that it looks like this. Now, the difference between this and the last question was, the last question we did, it didn't have an x squared, right? It just had different x's. But when we have this sort of thing, right, we've got a variable squared and then a variable. That means our mission is going to be to set it equal to 0. We have to move everything to one side. All right, and I'm going to do this part kind of quick. All right, this is going to be z squared minus 2z, and then minus 8. All right, so I subtract 4z, and then I subtract 9. That's what I'll get over there. Right, if I move this that way, 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 1 minus 9 is negative 8. And from here, it's no different than what we just did with rational equations. We have to try to factor this. So who can help me factor this stinker right here? Remember, I need 2 numbers that multiply to equal negative 8 and add up to negative 2. Who's got it? Negative 4, positive 2. Very good. Those 2. All right, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, and they also add up to negative 2. Now, some of the factors that you're going to see today have a number in front of the z squared. Let me give you just a preview of that real quick. All right, so one of the problems I did on here, and I'll leave this up here for notes, looks like this. And then eventually we had to factor something where there was a 9 out in front. Well, that 9, z squared, can be found by making 3z and 3z. We haven't had any of those factors in a long, long time, okay? I had another one up there on the board that had 8y squared. We might have to use 4 and 2, right? Or 8 and 1, something like that. All right, so let's get back to this question. Let's finish it up. There's 2 possible answers here. One of the possible answers is 4. Remember, it's the opposite. Another one of the answers is negative 2. How can we check to see which one of these is actually correct? Plug it back in. All right, so we're going to plug in 4 and -2 into the original question up here. I'm going to plug in 4, and I'm going to plug in -2. Here we go. Let's do that. Plug in 4. I'm going to get 4 times 4 up here. That's 16, right? 16 plus 9, 25. And then what's the square root of 25? 5. When I plug in 4 on the other side, it says 4 plus 1, which is 5. That tells me that answer is correct. 5 equals 5. The other one, if you plug in, you're going to get 1 equals -1, which is clearly not right. Now, I want to remind you, this does not mean our answer is 5, right? 5 is just what we get when we check it. Your answer is 4, whatever we plugged into it, okay? So don't goof that up. Well, that happens a lot. Okay, so again, our answer on this one, 4. All right, a couple other things I want to show you that you're going to see that have tripped up some people. Let's say you factor something and you end up with this. Everybody look up here right now because you're going to ask. Right? Let's say I have factors like this. Well, it's the same thing twice. That part doesn't really matter. But you notice how the factor is 3z minus 1. So then it was easy to tell what the answer is here. It's just the opposite, right? That's real simple. But what is the solution? Oh, sorry. What's the solution when I end up with factors like this? Well, I take the opposite of -1, which is +1, and I do the opposite of times 3, which means divide by 3. So when I see this, my solution is actually 1/3. Okay, another quick little example just for funsies. Let's say I had this, 7z minus 4. What would my solution be if this was a factor? It would be positive 4 over 7, just like that. Okay, I do the opposite of subtracting 4 and I do the opposite of times 7. Okay? Another thing, if you see this question, which you will, we probably will. Notice how this says W over 4. I want you to rewrite it like this, as 1/4 W. I want you to do that. That'll help you solve the equation later on down the line. All right, now's your time to work on it, and then we'll keep working on this at the beginning of the next period.